All right, here we go. Welcome back to HLTV Confirmed, everybody. This is episode 13, and on tonight's episode, we will be covering all the minor closed qualifier action. You've got Guardian playing with the 87-0 NIP Legends. We've got all the league action for Flashpoint and ESL Pro League. And I'm going to ask you this question again, Prof. You can answer it a bit quicker this time. How would you define the time period of soon?
5 minutes.
Okay, that's good, and it was a much better answer this time around, much quicker. And Striker.
Almost sounds like he already answered it before.
Yeah, we would have thought. Striker.
Yeah.
Did you get checked for coronavirus, or are you still potentially a threat?
I'm potentially a threat still.
Okay, well, that's cool. Lucas, the producer's here, obviously pressing the buttons, making sure there's no audio for you guys to be able to hear us. And waiting patiently is Kassad. Kassad, how you doing?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
All right, so we'll get stuck into this. For those who don't know, Kassad, coach of 100 Thieves, used to be coach of them when they were Renegades, was on the team, was off the team for a little while, back on the team, working everything out with the boys. It seems to be good, and you're our guest for this evening. Now, Kassad, why is Aaron your favorite member on the team?
I would like to avoid that question because
I always try with a loaded one straight away. We didn't land with that one. We didn't go what we're looking for there.
Question all from the start, like
yeah, I want to see what reaction.
Whole show.
But you're in America right now, right? You guys are you're there for a couple of weeks until you head out for Pro League?
Yeah, right now we are in LA in our compound. Actually, we have a really busy week before we get to Malta to a little boot camp before Pro League. Like I said, really busy week for us. Practice-wise, we have like our performance specialist, like a mental coach coming back to our team, the one that we had in Renegades. And he is now with us again. He's actually coming in today to do some work with us, and I think during this week as well. Besides that, we have a bunch of stuff that we are doing. Plus, we are practicing, preparing, and then we have a trip to Malta a week early to do a boot camp preparation for the Pro League, obviously, and then we are going into it.
And I have to make sure I leave one of my 240 hertz monitors for you. Apparently, Gomez has asked me very nicely, so I have to hook that up before I leave on Friday. But you just said your mental coach, right? The one that you had in Renegades coming in to do some work with you this week. I think that's probably a good place to start because kicking off this year, you guys obviously went into an extended boot camp situation. And then when you played Blast, it was pretty average looking. And then when you started off in Katowice, it was very slow as well. And a lot of that has been put up to the mental side of things. Do you want to elaborate on that anymore?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was very average on Blast, but like you said,
I expected you guys to win because I expect the best.
There were some close games, like 3 out of 4 maps were like super close, and we just dropped it. But like you said, we had a boot camp. Actually, we had some issues because we were supposed to be in Poland, but we had some visa issues and some Schengen days being like over exceeded. So we had to change the location, went back to Serbia, which was a good boot camp, but it was like something new for us and with like something that we were not used to. And we did a decent boot camp, I guess, there. And then we went to London, and like you said, we played G2, and it was like super close games. I still remember that stupid round on 13-13 when Justin's PC froze up.
Yep.
And the two guys like flanking, and just walk past by him, and he's just frozen, and they just flank us 14-13. We are eco, then we lose that map. We had a full control of the second one as well, lost it again. It was like super close, and then we had to leave one of these EG games, that we don't like playing them that much. I mean, because that was a curse for us back then. And it ended all like 2 defeats, that's it. But we went back to boot camp again for like 4 or 5 days, I think. And everything seemed fine, We worked hard. The hours were there. People were working individually. We were working as a team. We were practicing. Scrims were decent, not the greatest, but decent. It looked all right. And then we entered that match against G2 in Kato, and that was it was a joke of a match. We couldn't do anything. And I talked to Hunter after that, and I asked him like, well, what the hell happened, like from your side? And he's like, yeah, don't even ask me. I don't know. Everything we did worked. I don't know. Everything is working. What we are doing now, it's all working. So he's just like, yeah, okay. And then after that game, we had a little bit of a talk, like one of our famous talks, team talks that last for like 4 hours every single time or more, where we like kind of said everything that we need to say, clear the air among players, because there was like, the way I see it and the way we like kind of analyzed it is when you have communication problems outside of the game and tension is building up about anything. It doesn't have to be anything like special or critical. It can be just any small thing. The tension builds up, and the communication suffers, and then that kind of spills into the game. And then some rounds somebody is not communicating properly, and decisions are not being made properly, and that's why you end up losing rounds on 14-13 or like 7-6 or something. Some rounds where like need to win that round to just take over the momentum, and we just kept losing because of that. And that is like the root of the problem that causes more problems in terms of like confidence, in terms of like discipline, and everything's kind of connected, and then you end up losing 16-3, 16-2, So you have to kind of stop it. We had to clear the air. We had to like talk to each other. It was like it was a rough talk, and everything needs to be said. And after that, it was fine because we did it before. Every now and then happens, so we do it all over again, and it works. After that, we played much different CS. People were communicating much better. And you saw what happened after we beat Mouseforce, we beat EG, Tyloo, and we ended up in the playoffs again. Close games against Fnatic, could have gone either way. But we were happy that we managed to get our like juice back and our confidence back, and people are doing usually on scrims. There is no like problems of like thinking like, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna ruin the round, and because they're not playing I'm not gonna play not to lose. People want to play to win, and then you need to do those things. So it was fixed, and now we're feeling pretty good.
Okay, so I guess one of the questions I always wanted to ask was, or at least find out from your perspective, is if there's truth in this. One of the things that you guys obviously have done within 2019 was elevate yourselves to be considered like a top tier team, right? Like an elite level team. And then defending that, is that something that you have to learn as well? Or is that something which, you think is just something we say on the desk? Because it's something that I'd say on the desk, right? Like a team has to learn how to consistently be winners at that level. Is that something that you feel in the game?
Yeah, I feel like that first of all, you need to like the mindset for that kind of thing to elevate yourself. And that is where our mental coach comes in, and us being open to each other and communicating better, being better friends outside of the game and just doing things together. And just like I said, being open to each other, it kind of helps growing as a team. And just because of that, you're working harder, you're growing as a team, and then the results will show. When you work hard, the results will show, and they did show for us.
Okay, well, Prof's written our little, I guess, itinerary here. Prof, you've put, is CS becoming more individualistic? Do you want to clarify that angle anymore?
Yeah, I think it's just like a meta discussion and also kind of interesting just because of 100 Thieves and the roster they have, which isn't one of the more stacked rosters. I think if you look at it objectively among the top 10, like Navi is stocking in just pure firepower, Liquid, EG, all of these teams. So from your perspective, do you think it's becoming a little bit more individualistic on a whole scale CS right now?
No, I don't think so. I think there is some element to it. Obviously, strong individual players, they can win you games, right? They can win you some tournaments, like Simple did, just now. But at the bigger picture, I think it's kind of not consistent, because individual can show up and have a bad day, and then what you're gonna do? I just think it's not consistent at all. I think that in the bigger picture, the more efficient, more consistent, and more successful recipe is teamwork. Simple as that. Like, you have Astralis, best team of all time. They don't have any crazy super sharp superstars, right? You agree?
I mean, they have good players, definitely. You would put but not on the level probably of maybe even Navi nowadays.
Simple, ZywOo, NiKo, players like that. But they have great players, and they have great teamwork. And I think that's the recipe to become a successful team. I mean, like I said, individual thing, it's an element. It can help, right? Win you something. But to become a consistent top tier team, top one team like Astralis is, I think that the element of teamwork and all that is much more important.
When we're talking about that, I can just add on. You mentioned ZywOo, and back I think a month or two ago, there was a post on Reddit, and a friend actually found the same thing and linked it to me a week before it popped up on Reddit about Gratisfaction having better stats than ZywOo in all of the matches between Vitality and 100 Thieves or Renegades. So what is your kind of approach to matches like that when you have have a ZywOo on the other side, because you have been able to shut down a player like that.
We are not really, when we face Vitality, we don't really look to shut down ZywOo. It's not our main concern. We just, like we discuss it every time, ZywOo is going to have his kills. ZywOo is going to get his 1v3 rounds, 1v2s. He's going to have his numbers. We don't overthink that, right? We just count on that. That's going to happen. We just stick to our game plan. We find their weaknesses in their game. Sometimes we focus on our strengths. Depends like on the maps, on the the current state of both teams. But we just follow the game plan, follow the process, prepare, and we just go. And if ZywOo drops 30, 35, 40, it doesn't matter. Sometimes he's not going to drop that. He's going to drop 20, and our plan is going to work anyway. So we're just going to win. So we are not focusing on individual, not every single time, unless like if there is some sort of a weakness of an individual, like he's like easy to read, he's wasting his nades, he's overly rotating to some positions, and he's using like similar spots all the time in a 4v4s, 5v4s, 4v. Doesn't matter. Like if he spots something like that, that's something he's going to exploit, right? But we don't focus like how to shut down ZywOo, because that's a elite level player, right? You cannot shut him down because he's going to find his space to get his numbers, and shutting him down would be just a waste of time.
Okay, so I think this is probably a good little transition we can make right now to your overall coaching style, right? And where I would like to start, and this is always a difficult one, is when you started coaching, right? Like, what were your expectations, and how has that transition, and how have you changed as a coach over these years?
When I started, that was back in 2013. I still remember that event. It was like a Starlighter finals with Navi and Polish guys. They called again, and it was us, me, NiKo, and a couple of Serbians as well. Emi, Letni, they're playing now for Contact, and that's when it all started. And I didn't have headsets back then. I was just yelling behind them, just trying to call out things. Like it was like super. But transitioning from playing to coaching, it was really easy because I always knew like that I'm gonna be good at it. I'm gonna be good at coaching people. I'm gonna be good at like this strategic, like organizing, structuring, like things, And it was easy, and I love doing it. I don't miss playing at all. I just love doing my job, and I just enjoy it every single time.
Can I just ask, because like obviously you went back to the start. You also coached the Indian team back in Cologne 2014. Wolf, yeah, exactly. I wonder, how do you look back at that experience? Because at the time you weren't really established or anything, You just had that opportunity, had a month with them or something. So yeah. How was that experience?
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny, like because the guys like Peter from your guy HLTV Peter, he just messaged me. He's like, yeah, these guys from India, they're gonna give a spot here, and they're looking for a coach. You want me to recommend you? And I was like, yeah, sure, why more? Why not? And I got a call from the guy from India saying that was like a Thursday or something. And he's like, yeah, do you want to come here? We cannot really pay you, but, do you want to come here? We're going to have a slot, and you're going to be with us for a week. And then we're going off to Germany. And I was like, yeah, sure. I wouldn't even ask for money. I'll just like cover my expenses, like the flight and the accommodation and everything. And I just looked at it as a learning experience because I really wanted to do it, And it's the major. You want to be at the major, right? And I go there, and I was asking, like, when do I need to come? He's like, yeah, can you be there Tuesday? I was like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, we need you as fast as possible. So I did my visa pretty fast. It wasn't really Tuesday, so I ended up like next week or something. And I went there. There's a bunch of nice guys, The Indian guys were like super nice, super friendly people. And we spent there like a week trying to practice. It was like not really the best setup that we could ever get. It was like early 2014. What is it? And it's India as well, and the setup wasn't really good. We did some work, and then we went back to Germany. And we were set up in this Airbnb somewhere in Cologne, and then we played all right, I guess, one or two. We faced an IP, I think.
I think you won like all pistols or something like that.
Yeah, we won pistols in a few rounds, and that's it. And then we played against Hellraisers, I think. And we were like up 5-1, and then we ended up losing 16-6 or something. But it was a really good experience for me, and when I look back, it was like a learning experience, like really, really, really good one.
Okay, so what we can do now, I suppose, we can start looking towards 2020 as a year, and like what you want to kind of achieve whether it's with this team or any team or whatever? Like, what's the outlook looking like for Kassad?
This team, obviously, 2019 was like a year where we made the next step, right? We were always a team that was considered like, they can like do something, talented players, whatnot. And then in 2009, we started putting in the real work. We had a real process going on, real system, real structure going on. Everything was fine. And then we made the next step. And then after we switched from Renegades to 100 Thieves, right now on doing this, we are looking to go for the next step, and which is like winning trophies. Obviously, that's the next goal for all of us, me personally, and for the rest of the team. So we not want to be the teams that gets into the playoffs, and just satisfy themselves with that. We just want to go teams that's going to be fighting for the titles, and that's pretty much the goal for 2020.
Okay, Striker Prof, you got anything you want to chime in with here?
I wanted to ask, back from the coaching style or whatever. I think that ties into that, because obviously, apart from results or whatever people say about their coaches, it's really hard for anybody outside of the circle really to recognize good coaches or like try to find out how good a coach is. So, is there something that we can pay more attention to, or what do you think even makes a good coach?
I don't know. It's so weird. That's a weird question because like none of the coaches nobody went to school to be a coach, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a professional coach in any kind of sport, you go to school, they educate you, then everything is there, right? But in the esports, you're just a player. I was like, you have some knowledge and something. Okay, you're gonna be a coach. It's not only about like having strats. You need to understand how people learn, because not everyone is going to learn the same way. Somebody is going to learn by reading from a paper. Somebody is going to learn with some tough love or something like that. Somebody needs to be like sat down and work one-on-one or something like that, So you need to figure those things out to understand how your players are going to learn things, how are they going to be better, because you cannot use same method on every single player. It's just not going to work. So that's like the main thing to like develop a coach if you wanna do it,
I asked YNK this whenever we had him. I don't know if it was 2 shows ago, and it was just when you started, and comparing to now, was there some like big learning that you didn't expect to get, or something that you didn't really expect was going to be a part of the job that you like are like have now?
Not really. The main thing for me during the years I grew up as learn like knowing all these people and having these like situations and adventures and like experiences. I grew as a person, and I become much calmer. I become like more understanding. I try to like look at the bigger picture and I not react like instantly, try to think through things as a coach, because coach needs to be a person like that. You need to think through and everything, and just during the race you kind of grow. And that was the main thing for me. I don't know how else to explain it. There was nothing like major. It's just you're growing.
Okay. He was mentioning like the concept of confidence in general, like how important that is. Like that was a kind of a surprise to him. So I guess I was just like looking for anything like that.
I mean, confidence is yeah, I agree with him. Confidence is a big deal, but it comes from many different things. Like I said, the root of everything for me is. Obviously, the chemistry between the players needs to be like right, but the communication part needs to be on point. That's the root of everything, right? If you talk, if you're open to each other, if you're like not afraid to receive the constructive criticism or anything. Basically, if you're not ready to talk to your teammates, to your coaches, then that's you're never going to make progress. But if you get that done, everything else will fall in line. Confidence, like everything else. It just starts everything from communication between the players and the coaches, between the teams and the orgs. Everything starts from there.
Okay.
I have one question from a fan. Has the boys in his username, so obviously like a fan. He asked like talking about the longevity of the current lineup, because you're like the third longest standing roster right now in the top 30. How many instances were potential roster changes on the table, if any at all, and how did you ultimately overcome them within the team? Obviously, you touched a bit on that, on the talks that you had, but at the same time, it's like referring to the slump in like mid 2019 and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you were the second longest standing lineup.
That's Fours and
Fours is like a month longer, okay. I think.
All right. So basically, I got this question a lot, and during the crisis in the 2019, There was not a single discussion about player changing, not a single one, because during that moment, that period from like May till July or something, where we sucked, simple as that, we just didn't play well, and we knew that was the reason, because we were on the upward trajectory, we were like, playing really good, and then the visa issues hit us. Sean is really important in the structure of our game, and what he does for the team is really important for the other people to actually do their thing, in the whole like system of things. And it really hit us really hard, because we just were forced to scramble and improvise, and then we had Owen Muya there, and all the everything was like upside down in just a short matter of time. And we understood it completely. We had, like I said, we had our mental coach with us back then, and it was easy to understand the problem. There was no like, okay, we suck, who do we kick or something like that. There is not a single topic, not a single word was said about it.
What about from the outside though? Like somebody asking for somebody like JKS, was that a factor?
I was trying. You mean if somebody tried to buy somebody
Yeah,
out?
exactly.
Oh, let me remember.
Or you maybe.
No.
Or you, yeah, exactly.
Coach.
I'm trying to remember, but I don't think so, because I get this like a lot, because every time like people come to me and they say like, oh guys, you look like a real team, you look like a real unit, you look like you always stick together, and that's something that's like really like makes me feel like really happy when people come and tell me that, because that's what we are going for. And I don't think anybody went for any of the players at that period at all. Actually, I'm 100% sure.
Okay, it's interesting.
All right.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Maybe I'm forgetting, but I'm pretty sure. Let's say 99%.
Boys, you got any more questions for Kassad on the hot seat? Fuck, we need to rename this stuff, don't we?
Yeah, it's at least it's not hot chair anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that.
we're gonna finish up with this, and we're gonna move on to recent news. So hit it, Lucas. All right, we're back. We're going to dive into some stuff, and this is where I tend to get very ranty, and I just said I said fudge. So I want someone to tally the amount of F-bombs I drop and C words here.
We're literally getting demonetized on YouTube because of Chad.
I'm trying
all
to
of
turn
these
down.
$5 that we would earn are now being lost.
So yeah, I'll try to swear less. We'll see what happens. It's probably not going to happen. Someone count them. I need a counter every episode. But anyway, we're going to get into the news. Or the recent news. Now, we've got these buttons, Kassad. Lucas would have linked them in TeamSpeak. I believe yours would be the bottom button, the very last button there. And I'm going to present some scenarios here, and you're either going to thumbs up to agree or thumbs down to disagree, and we'll do a bit of a discussion from there.
The link?
Yeah, click on that link in TeamSpeak, and then there'll be two thumbs for you, mate.
Yeah.
All right. So let me take you all to a world. We're going to go to a world where Danish Counter-Strike, they're constantly producing all of these individuals who are well-groomed players. They know how to play the video game on a high level as a team. They're not just running around headshotting people. They're not just playing pug-style Counter-Strike. They're actually understanding the fundamentals. Then you have this guy. His name's HUNDEN, and he's been doing this shit for years. And he constantly gets all these players come through, and he teaches how to be good. But his organization doesn't have any money. So everyone comes in, and they fucking take all these players, and poor HUNDEN is fucked. And he's like looking at himself in the mirror, and he's thinking, fuck my life. And then HUNDEN eventually has someone who comes, and he believes in him. And they give HUNDEN all this money, and they say, HUNDEN, we love what you're doing. We love your team. This progression is fantastic. So then they start paying him this big salary. And then all these other teams who are now like minnows compared to these fucking lions, they're fucking looking around and they're going, well, we can't take this cunt's players anymore. So then HUNDEN makes this team top 15 in the world or some shit. And then they go and they get rid of him. Now, there's two stories that happened here. One is that came out in dribs and drabs that this was a HUNDEN decision, that he was burnt out, that there's all this shit, right? There's that one. Now, if you believe that one, you can believe the world is probably flat too. Then there's this other option, which is most likely the one that Striker theorized at one point, that they were eventually going to have to replace him anyway if they wanted to be a better team. Now, which one of these two scenarios do we think is more likely? Thumbs up for the first scenario of him being burnt out and wanting to stop playing. Thumbs down if you think HUNDEN got that motherfucking knife held up to his throat, and they said, "Listen, motherfucker, you're going out." I swore a lot.
I've never hit the button like faster than I did just now.
All right, what do you reckon, Kassad? You reckon he jumped, or you reckon he was pushed?
I don't think he was like backstab or something. So I get to.
I want to add a little bit of
Look, I
creative
think-
flair here.
But
Okay.
it seems pretty odd, right? It seems pretty weird because, like, you got this team to like they're playing the close qualifier for the minor, right? And then there's the minor. They're a decent team. You said top 15. They got into top 15. They're playing good. They qualify for the most stacked event in years, which is Kato, right? They didn't have the greatest results there, but it's fine, right? They qualified. They're in the team that are playing. That's playing good, you know. Even when we screamed them, they played really good against us, you know, which was a surprise to us. And we gained some respect towards them. And they were like, it just seems odd that he just said that he's burnt out and he wants to like quit just before the.
There's just no fucking way that's the whole story, right? Even if it's true, like there's no way.
Doesn't add up for me there. Obviously, we don't have a clue what the hell is going on inside, right? So we can just guess here.
Speculate,
But,
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, but like I said, it seemed like something doesn't add up in that whole thing. Because if I'm Hunden, I mean, why wouldn't you like if you're burnt out? Let's say that's the story, right? He's burnt out. He feels like he cannot do it anymore, whatever. And why don't you just gather up whatever fuel that you got left, right? You know, whatever energy do you have left, because you got this team to where it is. You got these players from God knows where. You know, they became good players. They qualify for this and that. Why wouldn't you just stay for the major cycle? You know, instead they dropped out and they have no chance to play it on the major. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, why don't you just play, try to get there, finish the major cycle, and then you can say, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm burnt out. I'm going to be in another role, and then transition slowly into a new IGL that you trust. If you're going to be in the management, right? If you're going to be like a GM type of thing, you slowly transition into something that you can find an IGL that you can, you know, put in that team. Because obviously Hunden is a person who is capable of finding good players. He doesn't like randomly pick players from whatever region and of Denmark, you know. He knows how to pick them, right? And why wouldn't you just play this out and play this first season of Flashpoint, or and then after that transition into the new era of that team, you know? I would do that.
So
I agree,
Strike,
100%.
100%, yeah.
So Striker, you obviously you both just said that you agree this is a super weird situation. But for the means of discussion here, did you read all the stuff that came out from the Mad Lions camp regarding?
Well, there was not much to come out, to be honest. Like there was like one of the tweets that Bubsky put out was just immediately deleted, which is basically what makes this so awkward, right? Because he said it was the team's decision, but then obviously Hunden comes out to say that it was like he was burnt out and it was already like in talks with management. Yeah,
24
exactly.
hours later, after like the whole scene is literally just
like
tweeting
what the
trash
fuck? Yeah.
at the organization. And
Yeah,
just, like,
honestly, it's just all. Yeah, I have no idea. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
The AcilioN decision to come in as an IGL seems a bit rushed to me, because he was playing with Contact. He was released from Copenhagen Flames.
Yeah.
I don't think
He was. I think he was
released.
benched at the time, like or something.
Yeah,
Or
he
just
was
benched
benched,
himself, whatever.
He benched himself. Doesn't really matter. He left that team. He's not in that team, right?
Yep.
He goes into Contact and he plays what 2 weeks practice with them.
Something like that.
Yeah, so that's what I know. I mean, even the Neil, coach of Contact, said it. And then all of a sudden he's like in that team. You know, it seemed like pretty rushed to get the new IG. I don't know. I would do it. I mean, obviously,
I'm pretty sure he didn't go through a long trial or anything like that.
No way.
It's
No.
literally he
I
probably if he played one map with the team, I'd be surprised, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially like if it's somebody who, it's somebody who hasn't even played on a top 15 team in like fucking, I don't know, 3-4 years or something like that. Like he hasn't been around for a while.
Played in Heroic. I know him and Peacemaker were in Heroic back in 2000 and.
Yeah, but that version of Heroic actually wasn't that great.
But they beat us in Thailand, I remember, in semifinals. They were alright. They were not
Sure.
bad, you know. But they were
But
not
it's not. It wasn't a team that was attacking like a top 10 position, you know, at the time. Like it's not where Mad Lions are now, anyway.
Yeah. I agree. But like for me, it just seemed all the way like rushed a little bit, and not like there was no process to it. I think it was just like the decision has been made and we go. And the only thing that I don't understand is like dropping them the major potential, you know, because for me in that lineup, if they like like discussed. Again, this comes down to communication. If they discussed, okay, this is the problem with me, I'm HUNDEN, this is my problem, the team has different problems, let's discuss it, let's see what the best solution is, like instead of like, okay, I'm quitting, goodbye, see you later, you know. It's just, it seems such a waste of potential to just be at the major. I think they were like an actual contender to be on the first stage of the major. You know, even there is like Fnatic is there, and NIP is there, and Dignitas is there, I don't even know who else, but it's just complexity, and I think they can beat 3 or 4 out of these teams on a good day, you know, because they showed
complexity wouldn't be there if they didn't pull out. So.
Yeah. I mean, they showed that they can compete, you know, not on the top 10 level or top 5 or something, but they can beat teams, you know. It's just a shame to me.
Yeah, one of the problems I have as well is the other 4 individuals on the team aren't extremely experienced, right? So now what you're doing is you're taking out the one guy who is experienced, at least, you know, with in-game leading. Now you're going to put all these rookies in matches where they're not going to feel comfortable with another guy who, as Striker just mentioned, hasn't been playing on the top level. I think what we should do now, obviously the decision for HUNDEN to leave the roster or be kicked, that's happened, right? And we all have speculated on the side that we don't have the full story and it seems a little bit suspect, right? I think that's probably where we all land. But let's look at AcilioN replacing HUNDEN. So we got those thumbs again, boys. Do we think that the team is going to be better or worse? So thumbs up if you think they're going to be better. Thumbs down if you think they're going to be worse. I think Prof and I are looking at the same. And there we go.
On the delay, let me see.
Yeah, we all think they're going to be worse. So, Kassad, why do you think that they'll be worse with AcilioN? Is it him coming in, or is it the team falling apart? What do you think it'll be?
I don't think the team is going to fall apart. Those are young kids, like full of like desire to compete, you know, and they're all talented, they're skilled and everything. There's also a question of Peacemaker there. He's their coach, right? And then he has a lot of experience, right? And he can help with all those transition, but I'm just not sure if they can replace HUNDEN, because I feel like he was like the team, the person who got them all together and who got all the things going. Obviously, again, we are guessing, but it seemed like that to me, you know. And I feel like that team needed a little bit more time with him before they replace him, you know.
Okay. So you think it was inevitable that they would have to replace him at some point?
At some point, I feel like yes, but I think this was not the right moment.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree with the fact that they should have replaced him at some point. You know, just because obviously, like, we've seen that happen before, where just like in-game leaders who don't put up the numbers, or even just any kind of player who doesn't put up like decent enough numbers, which obviously HUNDEN, you know, on a top 10 level, it's not going to be enough for him to drop below like 0.8 rating tournament wise every single time. It just doesn't work. We've had that proven basically. So at eventually he would have to go out. I personally, I was of the opinion that if that's going to happen, then I feel like just get it over with now. But considering like how you said, like how rushed it was and in what kind of scenario, I definitely agree that this wasn't the time.
It has to be a process of doing these things, because if you want to be a serious team, serious contender, which their players can be good. The Oper Aker, right? Is that his name?
Yep.
He's great. Yeah,
he's pretty decent, right? And like I said, it was for me, if I was like a GM or something, that should have been a process to do it, right? Not just, okay, I'm done, see you later, guys, catch you later, and then find another player who is like first one available. You know, it should have been like a long-term type of thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prof, you got anything more on this one?
A lot, I guess. I think one of the
Maybe.
things that is worth mentioning, the way how I saw it develop. Why is Striker in the dark? So
because my light just went out for some reason.
Classic,
okay,
classic Czech Republic. No electricity.
Exactly.
I think Mad Lands really just tried to PR their way out of being the next ENCE, which after the first day, they just asked HUNDEN to come out and say some shit, which probably wasn't true, or if it was true, it was like to a small degree true and wasn't the whole story. But I think they really just didn't want to end up being like, I don't know, pitchforked as ENCE did after the Alexi B removal. So maybe good on their PR department, but the department that does the changes, I think doesn't make any sense. Like short term, they definitely will not be better. No way they are, or even on the same level they are. So, and they're getting into this like super busy period with Flashpoint. and even gave up a minor spot, which is just, I don't know, I don't even know how to define that. That was like purely just a bad decision. What Kassad said, they're top 12 team in the world. That was there for the taking. And just finishing it off with HUNDEN overall, like, if that guy ever, like, he definitely deserved a shot, like, at the top level. He got one event and got, like, sent off. And that is super sad because he will never have a chance like this again. It's done. It's literally done. So the whole story about him being burned out, I do not buy it at all. Like, you don't get to that after 10 years of playing CS. You get to the top level the first time ever, and you're like, yeah, but this isn't for me. I'm gonna quit. That does not make any sense. So fuck it.
Well, we can actually transition from this one to another player who quit because they were burned on out. We're going to move forward to another situation, ladies and gentlemen, and a team that we've been talking about a lot on the show recently. We had a member on Apex, I believe, this year from Vitality, and we were discussing the team and what we would be expecting on them in 2020. I don't think any of us expected a roster change to come this early. I don't think any of us expected it to be Alex choosing to step down. Now, this one didn't come with the blurriness, the murkiness. There wasn't any tweets coming out from like teammates saying contradictory statements. This was Alex coming out and saying, hey, I've had enough, and I'm done. And that, I think, was a surprise because we were just doing the show the night before, I think it was, and we were all talking about how the players on that team who weren't replaceable were ZywOo and Alex, right? That's what we said. That was kind of the sentiment being echoed.
At the same time, me and Striker did know, like, Striker did tell me literally 2 hours before the show, it's like, this is probably going to happen. I'm like, I don't believe you. You're talking shit. This doesn't make any sense. But then he really reassured me, like, it's going to happen. And then we go into the show. Obviously, I can't talk about it. I can't, like, leak other people's leaks, right, like, live on the show. So I was just trying to hypothesize, and definitely, like, that is the player you don't want to lose out of all the players. So it did really... like, a lot of people are commenting on the VOD, like, haha, funny about Alex. You said he should not ever be replaced, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I said it anyway because it's just like the opinion that would be if I didn't know what was going on. So it's just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to talk about this situation? It's just,
I have that happen a lot, boys. It's not much fun.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great to be in the know, to be honest, and having.
This is a very extreme, like, version of that, though.
Yeah. So I think what we should do here, get with the thumbs again, is identify if we think that this team, Vitality, right? Because now they've added this kid. The kid they've added is, I'm going to butcher how to pronounce his name. I'm terrible with pronunciation.
I think it's just Misuta.
Misuta. Now, he had a whole bunch of clips playing some pugs and shit, and then he got into FPL, I think, or FPLC or something like that. And he's a 17-year-old kid. He hasn't played at the top level. He's just been picked on up as hopefully the next prodigy. I guess that's what they're banking on. And if I was reading things rightly, who is Apex going to take over in-game leadership?
That's what we've heard, yeah.
Okay, so with the thumbs, do we think this team is going to be better or worse than where they were previously?
You need to find better questions.
Yeah,
because
at which point?
This year.
Well, we don't know, right? Because
but that's the thing, right? Like, they've removed their in-game leader, and let's say Apex is now doing it. Do we think that this team, like where they are right now, choose where they're ranked right now, which is 10th in the world, are they going to be better than that by the end of this year, or are they going to be worse than that?
Okay,
there we go. That's better. I mean, I've redefined it for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid.
Okay, fair enough.
Is it mandatory to click, or?
Well, you don't have to. You can just tell us what your opinion is.
You have to click. People in chat were upset the last time. They were like, "Please click."
I don't know, because like the decision from Alex, I understand it. I completely understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it completely, because you need to understand the fact that, like, when you play CS on a high level, CS takes so much from you. So much energy, it just takes it from you. And sometimes it gives back, sometimes it doesn't give back enough. And you're investing a lot of time, you're sacrificing lots of relationships, and it's like it's getting to you. So the decision for him to to step down because he's tired, he's burnt, I can understand it, because it happened to many people. I don't agree with it, because I think it can be solved in different ways, but he's a really important player. or he was the important player for Vitality. He was the IGL. He was doing the job really good, and I think it could be solved. And I think he rushed into it a little bit. Maybe obviously we don't know exactly what's going on inside the team for the past couple of months, but it possibly can be a mistake, because I'm gonna give you an example of Jacob, who told me multiple times when he he left FaZe, that he regretted it, because like once you like leave the scene and you're off for like few months, people tend to forget you. You just fell out. You just fall out. And he said to me multiple times that he's like super grateful that he got a second chance to actually compete on a higher level. In Alex's favor, he speaks English really good, and he's the IGL, so I guess he can find his spot relatively fast, right, in any of the teams. But I don't really agree with the decision that he made. Obviously, I don't know his mindset, right, and state of mind, on what kind of place he's in his like head, or what kind of environment is in the team, or what's going on there. But it feels a little bit rushed. I think maybe he may be regretted, maybe not. I don't know, but I think there were like ways to solve his problems. Being burnt out, and then still being able to compete at the highest level.
To be honest, I mean, to me, it kind of almost looked a little bit premeditated, just because in the announcement he was kind of talking about, or in like a tweet longer that he posted right after the announcement, he was talking about, try to cut down on the travel days, and that actually not happening because of, EPL and them coming into Blast Premier as a partner team, which obviously gives them more obligations, and it's not going to be able to cut down on the travel schedule. So it seemed like something at least he has been considering for a while, like from like late last year, before these plans even came through.
That's fine, if you're playing too many tournaments, just get somebody, just sacrifice a tournament or two, just get somebody to play instead of you. Just help your IGL to recover from the stress that he's having.
Yeah.
Being overwhelmed with like all these expectations, pressures, and like people expecting them to this and this. Help him out, talk to him, help him out, try to find a solution before he gets into the point where he says like, all right, guys, I can't do this shit anymore. I have to quit. And then he quits,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely begs the question if like the organization is better off now without their in-game leader and second most important part from like our perspective at least, or them just deciding to skip few tournaments or not play some things that they decided to play. Like that is in the end the organizational decision, and they sided kind of against their in-game leader, right?
Look, if he's like half in, half out, it's better he's out, right? But like I get what Kassad's saying in the sense of, if he needed just a break, it probably could have been managed, right? It's a big organization. They definitely could have managed a break. But from a personal perspective, if he's just not feeling it, like if you're not feeling it as an individual, then you may as well get the fuck out. But because a lot of these people are so young, then that's when that part of what Kassad was saying really comes into play, is regretting that decision. Because once you pull the trigger on it, and once all these things are in motion, especially now with all the money and the contracts and this and the that, like you are done. Like that's it, right? So
you have to be like seeing that like as somebody from the org, your player is getting burnt out. Surely it shows in the way he talks, in the way he practices, in the way he's like, himself. You can just prevent it early and say, hey, how are you feeling? Is everything all right with you? You seemed a little bit, just out of your normal state. Is there anything that we can do to help you? And that can be prevented early on. When it comes to the point where he's like already, yeah, fuck it, fuck this, I'm just gonna play this tournament and leave. At that point you just have to let him go, right? But I said it could be prevented early on if you spot it early on. But then I'm just afraid that he made like a wrong decision. I'm just talking about him, not Vitality team.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like a wrong decision.
I mean,
he's a good player. Obviously, he did good things for that team. They had great results. And he is obviously giving up a legend spot in the major cycle. So it's like there's multiple aspects of that decision that's like kind of worrying for me. Ish.
So, Prof, if you had to theorize looking at the future for this Vitality roster as you see it now, what do you see on the horizon? You see like roster struggles, you see them bombing out of events, do you see them doing well? Do you see this kid bit like having good mentorship? What do you see?
I mean, for him, from what we heard, he was kind of on the radar for Vitality either anyway. So, and for G2 at some points in the past as well. So he was someone that was gonna get a shot sooner or later. This might be the sooner than is ideal for him. So it's kind of a sink or swim moment, I guess. He might just skip a year of development and be like a ROPS or something like that just like goes into pro play and really shows it, and then has more time to develop further, which could be a good thing for him. But realistically, looking at Vitality now, in one way, I think it's good for them because now they lose a lot of pressure that they had before with this lineup, because people will be, okay, now we lost our in-game leader. It's gonna be like hard, so we're just gonna start taking like every victory, every match won is like a big victory for them. When 2 months ago it would be like, we need to win titles all the time, right? So from that perspective, I think it will help them a bit, but obviously the results will not be that good. There's no way to see, like, even Apex he was a secondary caller for almost all of the French teams he was in, and he was adding into that. But being the secondary caller and being the primary caller, big difference, as Alu has learned in ENCE and other teams in the past. So that's going to be a big issue. The firepower on RPK shocks. Then all you have is ZywOo, right? And that will win you games still. And that's going to be it. And see what this Misuta kid can bring in.
Do you think there'll be another power struggle, Striker? You think, the in-game leadership will go from Shocks to Apex to someone new?
I'm not entirely sure it's necessarily going to go to Shocks, just because he has himself kind of admitted it's just not a role for him, right? So I feel like he's kind of come to terms with that, and he's not going to try to take over again. But the problem is, like, I just don't see Apex becoming like a world-class in-game leader. I think that's the biggest problem that the team has on the horizon, and nobody else can really take it. Like, RPK is clearly a pretty quiet guy who just does whatever he's told, basically. And then you literally are looking at either Shocks or ZywOo, and fucking ZywOo. You really don't want ZywOo in game leading for obvious reasons. So it's just like, that's the biggest problem that I see this team having in the future, just because, like, realizing that Apex is not it, and then running into a wall because they have nobody else to take over.
Okay, well, let's have a little look at our last point here in the recent news. This is another big one.
This one could have fixed Vitality, right?
It could have. This is AGO signing a 7th player. Everybody was really excited about this news. That's Oscarish, I believe that's how you say his name, has been added to the roster with such names as Fiku, MHL, Sydney, Lehman, and then the last two you will know, Gruby and Furlan. Now, in Poland, for some reason, they think throwing all these guys in one team together and having extra members, I don't know, is probably some form of motivation or some shit. Kassad, you obviously practice against the top level teams. We're probably playing against a whole bunch of different level of teams. But are any of these Polish teams that you play in practice, if you do play them, showing any signs of life?
Not that I know of. Honestly.
Okay,
we don't really.
That's a bit sad.
We don't really play against those type of teams in scrims, because we have usually like 4 scrims a day when we play, 5 at most, and we always look for the top tier teams, I guess. The better scrims possible, but I don't know, this 7th player kind of signing, I don't get it personally. Maybe they're trying to find the best lineup possible, like to mix those 7 players, see what fits the best. It feels to me they're just recycling the same players over and over.
Yeah, that's how it looks from the outside. What do you make of having more than 5 members on a roster anyway as a concept?
No, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Okay, because we've had discussions before on the podcast. I'm not sure who we had it with, Striker Prof. You guys maybe remember.
I think it was last season, probably just the Banks was with us, I think. So
yeah, we're talking about
like that.
Multiple people, right?
Like,
we're talking about
like train specialists, like, and you bring in the player who's going to be playing train for you. And I just don't see it. It mess up the structure, mess up the system. I don't think it's a thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's something to be on the horizon anytime soon. So with the Polish Counter-Strike, Prof and Strike, you guys got much to say about this, or should we just keep it moving?
Not particularly.
No, it's just more.
I'm not a fan of seven man lineups.
All right, well, let's keep it moving. We'll start talking about the minors now. This has got its whole own section
The funny part.
The what?
The funny part.
Oh, the funny part, fucking hell. Well, this is where shit kind of gets real, doesn't it? So I don't know if we want to use that graphic that's on Reddit. Are we gonna get problems? Is Martin gonna get angry at me because it's not a HLTV.org? Actually, I don't give a fuck. All right, Lucas, I want you to bring this up. Let me send this your way. All right, so bring that graphic up, and we're going to talk about basically how this all went down, because we had the closed qualifiers for each of the regions. Obviously, we had the European ones, we've had CIS, we had Americas, and we had the Asian side of things. We may as well kick off with talking about the smaller ones. Is there anything worth talking about? Right? Like, I don't think there is.
No, it's just most about the European one. I don't think anything else is.
All right. Well, as soon as Lucas throws this graphic, throw it up on screen, and we'll just quickly get the other conversation out of the way, and then we'll get stuck into the European one, so everyone can visualize this. So we'll start at the bottom there. As you can see, Renegades.
Jesus, that's going to be hard too.
That's all right. They can listen to me. The blue box down the bottom. Renegades, Order, Tiger. Fuck, I don't know that one. Tyloo, Vici. Is that Lucid Dreams?
Yeah.
And then
Camel Riders.
Camel Riders. They came through. Oh, Machine Gun and Zilkenberg's team was the other team.
It's Malachi, something
there
like that.
You go. That's who came through the Asian minor, so they'll all be playing in the qualifier coming up soon. 2 teams come through from there. Obviously, we have the Americas minor, which is Furia, Genji, Cloud9, Bad News Bears, Boom. My eyes are terrible. Navi, not Navi, Envious. I saw the N and I went Navi. My brain just went to my favorite team. Who else we got in there? Red. Oh, we have FNX's team. And what's the other one there?
This is Triumph.
Okay, that's a pretty cool logo, I guess.
Team.
All right, that's a cool logo. CIS minor, we had Spirit, Gambit, Simon Gaming, Fours, Hard Legion. Fuck, I don't know what these logos even are.
Windstrike.
There's a Shield.
Unique and Espada.
Bloody hell. Okay, we got that shit out of the way. So 2 teams from
each
of those.
The only thing that's interesting about CIS is the Hellraisers didn't make it. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, that's not really any surprise at this point, is it?
It is not, though. It is not.
Yeah. Okay, so that team's probably dead now. Now we can focus on the European minor, and we may as well start with Complexity, because that story that I was telling before about this in-game leader from Denmark, and then no major, and then all this shit, this ties in here, because Complexity, they tried 3 times in the open qualifiers to qualify for the closed qualifier. They failed. In the midst of all that, they fucking went to Blast and owned everybody. And then they still failed. But then, because this amazing move from Mad Lions happened, Complexity got the call up, and they came through and they destroyed everybody. Wow, what is going on here, Prof? Is this an expected result? Did Complexity have such an easy time with no sleep and everything like that?
I definitely wasn't like, none of these teams are like super easy, as we saw from the results of like Movie Star Riders and Heretics qualifying. So even the teams that we thought had no chance, obviously had a chance. So, and they literally did come in, I think, a few hours before they came in and played the qualifier, destroyed I didn't really see their matches, but it is a fucking miracle run. Literally, it is a miracle. You did not qualify, then magically you get a spot, and then you fly in and you go to the major. It's the best story that can happen, honestly. It's super cool.
Yeah, so for Complexity to come on through here, obviously with the circumstances, that's good. It means that they weren't just like a one-hit wonder, and they were able to replicate it against some teams here. They were obviously staying ready to still practicing and stuff to be able to come in and show this form, because they 2-0'd Godsent and they 2-0'd Sprout. Godsent actually ended up qualifying in the end. There was that clutch from Crystal. But let's talk about the teams who didn't make it. Obviously, there's some names here that didn't make it. Where are we? I fucking lost me page. Okay,
OG?
so OG,
Heroic, Big, I guess, are the 3 biggest names that didn't make it.
So which one out of those 3 are we most surprised at? Kassad, which one are you biggest surprised out of OG, Big, and Heroic not making it?
Oh, obviously it's OG, but I'm super surprised that Heroic didn't make it, because they had a last chance against Copenhagen
Flames. Yeah.
Well, didn't that team went to America before that and played?
Yeah, they also came back like 2 days ago.
I mean, that was the biggest surprise for me, that they didn't manage to win that best of 3. But I guess it's a Danish thing, like Danish matchup. I don't know. It's weird, but it's the biggest surprise for me, like a negative one. Obviously, the OG didn't make it because they lost to Heretics and the Godsend.
Godsend.
It was like a close match. I'm actually really happy that Godsend made it because they have this weird team where, like, not really like you wouldn't expect them to play good because of the lineup they kind of have. Like, it's not like super like a crazy players heavy kind of thing. Although I mean,
really it's mostly reject if you look at it. It's Crystal, who's been rejected in Germany fucking like 4 times or something. Then it's NiKo, who obviously left Mousesports, was kind of like I guess the bullied one out of that team. And then you have Michael LA, who just left the Swedish scene I don't know how long ago. It's just a team that you really wouldn't expect to do well.
I'm so happy for them for that type of reason, and obviously the Montenegro and Serbian guy kind of managed to get himself into the minor. That's Madden. He's a really talented player, and he managed to do it all by himself. Nobody was there to help him. Nobody was there to pull him, push him somewhere. He just did it by himself. He's a really talented player. I think he's like, if you look at his game, he's going to be making some silly mistakes just because he's inexperienced. But if he's like led the proper way, I think he can become a really, really strong player. And I think this is a big thing for them, playing the minor and having the chance to get to the major. But OG not making it kind of sucks for them as well. I don't know. And as far as the complexity goes, I'm kind of happy they got that chance because I think they deserve that chance. Even though, of all the other teams after the Mad Lions dropped out, I think they were supposed to be there. There was no doubt that they would be a team that needs to be on that qualifier. And the fact about them that I liked is, like, I talked about this with Chris, our manager, is like complexity. I mean, people are joking about this juggernaut crap thing, but they actually put their money where their mouth is, They went for this player and this player and this much money, get the best possible players they could get, and just pay the money, And I'm so happy it's paying out for them. They topped the group in Blast. They're right now in minor. They have a decent chance to actually get to the top 2 or that playoff spot for the challenger stage. So yeah, super happy about them.
Okay, for you, Striker, who was your biggest surprise, or like in a good or bad way, out of all these? Because obviously, like movie star riders and shit come through.
I mean, Heretics come to mind, right? That's the biggest one. That was definitely that. Probably nobody saw making just because they were literally like the second, perceived as the second or even the worst team out of the bunch. Well, maybe outside of Smash, basically. Like that group of like Kova, maybe Apex, Smash, and Heretics, like those 4, probably nobody saw coming. To make it through. So yeah, that's a big surprise. I didn't actually see their games, so it's kind of hard for me to tell how they made it. Well, actually, I saw like the ending of the OG one, but that was pretty much it. So it's hard
just
for
for
me
people, let's just catch people up on the roster of this because some people may not be too familiar with it. It's got Keo in it, XMS, who came and retired, and apparently now he's back. Lucky,
not retired anymore.
Huh?
I'm just saying he's not retired anymore.
Oh,
he
yeah.
Just unretired himself.
Counter-Strike players, unless you actually are planning on never playing Counter-Strike again, just don't worry about saying you're retiring. Like, just save it. Lucky, who had his time in the sun, and he's back. Maka and Jane, right? That's the roster right there. And they 2-0'd Heroic, and they 2-0'd OG. So they 2-0'd 2 of these bigger names who didn't make it out. So they're legit wins right there. The question is, do they have like depth going forward? I guess we're only going to find that out with a little bit of time. So, Prof, did you have anybody standing out for you, or is it pretty much same as Striker?
Yeah, definitely OG struggled there. Like even though I had like Godsend as one of my dark horses for this like whole minor cycle, and I still think they can do some good things. I think when just watching that OG Godsend game, the things they did, we had NBK on the show, and he said something like, communication issues are overrated and stuff like that. But I think that in that game, you definitely saw communication issues when the stakes are super high, how everything goes to shit. They were losing 4v2s because they just like lost the bomb carrier died at the stupid position and they couldn't get the bomb and plant, and stuff like that were happening. Like trades not really happening on time. So I think that is a thing that they need to kind of overcome and just get that experience as a team together. I guess they are also a team that is, even though they're not like the juggernaut meme, they also have a lot of pressure on them after just a couple of good results. So, and all of the names in the team, all of them kind of expect to be at the major. So, yeah, teams like that can just be underwhelming in matches like this.
I think the Movie Star Riders is a team, right, who surprised everybody because they have just a bunch of I guess older names. Like people would remember Alex playing for the Spaniards for years. Obviously, Lau's in there. Steele from Brazil, the one of Brazilian fame, is in this team, and for them to come through in the fashion they did as well, like they had a pretty good showing in this qual. They literally just lost to Spirit in like ESEA Mountain Dew League or something, but they qualified for this against tougher opponents. So there's a lot of names here who I don't think we were expecting to see come on through. We were very adamant this was going to be clear cut last time round. Now, just quickly doubling back to that heroic point, because we can use this as we move forward, but the heroic situation, do you think them as a team was at all maybe mentally shaken or anything about this whole transfer of organization that's just gone down for them? I don't
know. From what I heard, this was like this transfer to FunPlus Phoenix was so quick that I don't even know it happened at this time.
Okay.
Like, so I feel like I probably did. It was probably happening around that time though. Like, it's unlikely that it just happened like on the 9th or whatever, like yesterday. But I heard it was mega quick. So yeah, sure, it probably had an effect somehow, just because they just had to deal with whatever, changing organizations, probably signing new contracts, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know how much of an effect that can have on you unless like you have to travel out and have to deal with that stuff. So that sort of thing, like you're still going to be able to be focused on the qualifier if you're at home, if you don't really have to do like a lot of meetings or whatever. So it's hard to say like how much they actually had to focus on that transfer alone, because it was literally just another organization, coming in and buying an entire team as far as we know. So maybe it didn't really have too much to do with them individually.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't use that as an excuse, but
yeah.
If you FM that, what's the name of the org again?
FPX Phoenix, FPX, yeah.
FPX. If I want this team, right, and I'm in a position of heroic, I was like, yeah, you want us? Okay, that's fine. We'll negotiate everything. Everything will be fine. We just need to focus for the next 2 days to do this qualifier right. I don't want to talk about contracts. I don't want to talk about salaries. I don't want to talk about any single thing. I just want to focus up on these 2 days. Can you wait that long? Yeah, sure. Okay. Then we go in and we play, we win the spot, and then you deal with everything that you need to be dealing with in the next couple of days, and you go back to practice. Right?
I think the problem with that is the timing, because especially if they're going to be in Flashpoint, as we assume, like that's literally starting in 3 days. So
in 48 hours can be managed, right? Surely.
Probably, yeah.
The major status is the major is the thing in CS. Right? Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants to get the stickers. Everybody wants the chance to be at the major, win the major, whatever. Right? 48 hours in that conversation, it can be managed. It can be done. Manager is there to help with that, and everybody in the org, and it can be done. So I wouldn't use that as an excuse for not managing to qualify. So I don't know.
All right. Do we expect any fallout from any of these bigger names who were unable to qualify here? Are there any of these teams who we think are going to go through roster changes because they didn't qualify for the minor?
Yeah. I would be surprised if Heroic did, especially like if they literally just
now
got
that they
out.
signed new contracts.
That'd be pretty rough for FPX to just like figure out. Okay, we literally bought a dead team. Hello. But yeah, I don't know. Other than them, not really.
Well, Nordvind had a stand-in, right? Because Rubino couldn't play.
Yeah, Rubino has some issues.
So obviously we had Sprout in the mix there. They've just added Diha and Oscar not that long ago. So that's still one that's up in the. I don't think OG, hearing from the camp, that's pretty much like a long-term project with the players that they have there. So I would say that most of these teams are going to stay as is. I don't think we'll see anything too. It's in. Other than Hellraisers from the CIS region, things are pretty much going to stay as is.
That could definitely have some changes for sure, yeah.
It's a matter of OG. I think if I'm OG, there is no changes that I want to make. It's like they managed to qualify for the LAN finals in Blast, right?
Yep.
They beat EG, and they did good there. It's fine. Okay, we had a setback in the qualifiers. It's fine. Just stay on the path. You have the bigger picture that you need to follow. Stay on the path, follow the process, Just keep working hard. It sucks that you're not gonna miss this, but it is what it is. Just behind you, learn from it what you can from it, and just focus on the things to come, and the good things will come if you work hard and if you stay focused. It's simple as that. So I don't think anything should be changed when it comes to, for example, OG. I don't know about these other teams, but I'm just looking at these like bigger kind of names,
I'm just also gonna add something to that, which is that this major is also, or like this cycle, this Europe minor is probably the last like really important one, that we've had, at least with the with the major changes that are coming up. So I feel like they're not going to be like super bummed out that they didn't make it this time, because it's going to be a little bit easier next time. It's not as important to do really well at this major to make it to the next one and stuff like that, because they don't tie it to each other that way anymore, or they won't after Rio. So I think that also plays a part in like how they're going to be feeling about this results.
All right. Well, I reckon we move this on to the EPL Season 11 Group A and B discussion. We've gone through the minors. Obviously, they're coming up in, like a month and a half or some shit. But now we can talk about Pro League. And somebody just asked in chat, because I try to make this clear so that people know this. I am obviously, I have a side in this whole situation. I am working for ESL as a freelancer. So there you go, Mr. Badass Arctic. And we'll go back to one of the questions I saw at the start. People were wondering why on HLTV.org it said to be announced or some shit for the games, or rescheduled or something. Someone said, is it rescheduled because of coronavirus? As far as I'm aware, as of this moment right now, Pro League is still going as of the dates which have been announced to everybody. So nothing is changed in that regard from my perspective. All right, so we can get talking about groups A and B. We guess we should get those groups up. So can someone grab that link and shoot it to Lucas, and we'll throw that up for everybody.
Yeah, I just did.
For those people who aren't familiar, Pro League has completely moved away from the format where everything is region based. We had North America, we had Europe, we obviously had some stuff going down Oceania, the Americas region as well. That we've moved away from that now. This is just one big league. And it's got teams from all over the world competing. So in groups A and groups B, we'll go over group A. We have Astralis, ENTS, Godsent, NIP, Sharks, and Vitality. And in group B, we have Complexity, Fnatic, Force, Furia, Heroic, and Na'Vi. Now, just a quick caveat, the whole Heroic news situation, I'm assuming this is fresh news for most people. So Heroic, the roster has gone to FPX, who are apparently playing in the Flashpoint League. So there will be a new roster. Or that's the report.
Allegedly.
But Flashpoint retweeted their shit, your article. So I feel like if they're retweeting your out, I don't know.
That's, by the way, that's kind of fucked, isn't it?
I don't know if that's true, but I just saw that I think they like tweeted your article out there. So I guess that is their announcement. Just for Group B, I assume that there will be a new roster announced for Group B in Heroic's place. Whether Heroic fields a team or whether they bring in a whole new roster, I am not sure. But those are the two groups as we have them.
That's going to be awkward for them, by the way, because there's like, who the fuck are they going to get that's going to be good enough? Because unless they get somebody like Copenhagen Flames, who obviously aren't, well, actually, never mind.
I think someone said, and I didn't verify this, I think someone said somewhere, I was reading some comments about it, the next highest ranked team would be Big. I should probably verify this by ESL's rankings. Okay. And then after that, I think it's Spirit, I think. So
no, I just mean it's probably like what the deal has been with ESL is that like orgs are basically like holders of the spot as long as they have like a competitive team, that kind of caveat was there. In the previous seasons, at least. I don't know if that's changed for this one. I assume it hasn't. It's still org-based, and with that caveat that you just have to have a good enough lineup. So with that in mind, obviously, like, Heroic is just gonna have a hard time picking up somebody new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy for them.
Especially this last minute, by the way. It literally starts in, 6 days for them? Like 6 days, right?
They're Group B,
March,
so
March 16th, there you go.
Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting one to see how this gets figured. If they bring in the new team, according to the rankings as of right now, it would be, if I'm looking at this right, it'd be Team Spirit with Mia, Chopper, Idis Balance, Sumdai Young, and Magix. But let's start talking with Group A, and we'll start with Astralis. Do we expect, Kassad, we'll get this one to you. Do we expect Astralis to bounce back and show the form that we all started to love over 2018, 2019? Or do you think they're still going to be the beatable gods?
Yeah, I think they should I don't know. I mean, in the past experience, you can see them bouncing back. I think that's gonna happen here as well. They don't have a tough group. All the matchups right here are good for them ish when you think about it. I mean, Ants is not really playing that good recently, right? Godsend is an alright team, but they cannot match Astralis. NIP is for them is like up and down, and Sharks is like, I don't know anything about them. They lost their one of the best players, right? Mayrin to MIBR.
Yeah.
So I don't even know who they got. So, and then the last team is Vitality, which has a new player, new IGL, whole new concept of everything that's going on, and they had like what 2 weeks maybe to prepare all things after the. So I don't think them topping the group will be that problematic. So I think they're just gonna do that.
It's the rest of the group that's looking like what the fuck is
Scary,
gonna happen because I really have no idea.
Yeah, that's gonna be
So
weird.
hard.
NIP should be there. Vitality, I think, should be there. I don't know.
You're definitely looking at NIP and Vitality, but at the same time, like with what you were saying about Vitality, like they could really lose to any of these teams. Maybe apart from Sharks, I guess.
The thing about Vitality is like they can click, right? The new player can be super sharp, right? I'm playing with ZywOo, you know, and I'm playing with Shocks is there, and all these like people that's like Apex, and all these people they're like super like, you know, look up to them for the past years. And maybe he can be like super motivated, super sharp. There is ZywOo, he's not gonna, you know, perform bad. So I don't know. Vitality for me should be number 2 there, if I look at it that way. But Astralis, to answer your question, yes, I think Astralis is gonna top this group, 100%.
Okay. Prof, so coming in the other positions here, this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Now, we know that the first position goes through to play against, I don't want to butcher this right now.
Well, I guess it's the winner of another group at least.
Yes, and then they either qualify for the semis or have to go to the quarters.
It's against winner of B, actually, isn't it? Because they play the play-in right after the groups, because it should be A against B and then C against D.
Yeah, exactly.
So the likely scenario from Group A is Astralis topping it. Who we think it should be pretty. Oh, actually, Na'Vi against Fnatic didn't go so well for them the first time round.
Yeah, Na'Vi Fnatic, it can be like a coin flip or something. I don't know.
And Complexity could also come in and kind of like rough this up.
It's a good matchup for Fnatic, I think. I think they like playing Na'Vi, so it can be like tough. But Na'Vi is like super like hyped right now in like after winning this, and it must be feeling great. And so it's gonna be tough. I don't know. I would say Na'Vi.
Do you think this Na'Vi form, kassad, while we got you on the topic of them, obviously the level they displayed in Katowice was something phenomenal. What kind of level do you expect from them on like a frequent basis? Like what type of team are you expecting?
Not as strong as they were on this event. I mean, they had 2 close games against FaZe. You know, that game, second game in the elimination, like lower bracket, that was way too close. Na'Vi could have ended this without playoffs, you know. And I was talking to NiKo about that game, and he was like telling me about all these situations that's happened, because I wasn't able to watch the game because we were preparing for our own game. But it's like it was super close, and they could have ended up without like even making the playoffs. But in the future, I expect high level for them, because I see Electronic is like beasting it up. You know, the things that he does on the actual map. Of course, Simple is Simple, best player in the world, no doubt. But Electronic is like really close, you know. The things that he does for them is unbelievable. Also, Boomich is there. Like I see him like, you know, be more like loose, free to do his own things, especially like CT Banana, you know, stuff like that. And he's also creating a lot of space. And then obviously Flamey is a player that can explode in any kind of map. But yeah, I think they will be able to be on the very high level for the next few months.
Okay, so Striker,
scariest team right now, definitely.
Okay, yeah, I think just that level of performance they put in there with that short amount of practice with Perfecto is what I put a lot of like stock in. Right, is that they continue to grow as a team here, but obviously take Heroic out of the mix. Striker, is your top 3 in this group clear cut, or do you think it's going to be a bit dicey?
I feel like the thing is like Complexity obviously aren't established enough to just come in and like claim that 3rd spot. They're definitely going to be in the running for it. That's for sure. I feel like they could even be in a running for like a top 2. Like if they go up against somebody like Fnatic or something, I feel like they will have a good chance. It's a pretty good matchup stylistically for them. Even Navi, but obviously, like it's hard to see them beating Navi if the kind of Navi that we saw in Katowice turn up. Like that would be fucking impossible probably. But I could see it stylistically working out for them pretty well against both Fnatic and Navi. The problem is I feel like Furia could definitely rough this up and probably with Complexity be in the running for the third spot. Fours for me is a weird one just because of what we've seen from them so far. And they haven't had too much time to actually get back on track because what was it? Anaheim just happened like a week ago or something. And they didn't really do well there. So yeah, unless they just made strides since then, I don't see them being very good. But at the same time, it's like you literally play against everybody, so you get a lot of play time. You get a lot of time to kind of fix what's happening because you play across like almost 2 weeks. So I feel like it also depends on when they play like the right teams, you know. If they play them at the end when they've been able to fix their mistakes, maybe if they play like Complexity and Furia like towards the end of the group, I could see them beating them. But towards the start, if they haven't really improved from Anaheim, probably not.
I can see like a 3-way type of thing where like Furia beats Complexity and Complexity beats Force and Force beat whatever Furia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It can easily happen because those teams are like the way they're playing, and there's also CIS style of CS, you know, running everywhere, and then Furia doing the similar thing on Brazilian way, you know, and it's like very skilled players in that team.
It's an incredibly brawly group overall.
It's gonna be crazy, right? And I can see that 3-way type of thing for that third spot. That's a massive brawl for that spot because obviously Fnatic are very like stable team. Navi is very hot right now, and I mean, when I say Fnatic is a stable team, I mean the last 5 months, and ever since they got golden and they won the DreamHack Masters, they have been like performing really high level playoffs, semis, finals, whatever. And I can see them easily being top 2, Navi of course, and then the third spot is gonna be a massive brawl, especially if big team like Big gets against instead of Heroic, so it can be like really nasty there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to show you guys Group C and Group D at the moment because they will take place. I think it's like 6 or 7 days
from now or something.
Yeah. So the season will kick off. You go all through Group A and all through Group B. It's everybody plays everybody, and it's all best of 3. So there's going to be a lot of matches of Counter-Strike coming up. I guess like a lot of this is just speculation.
I wanted to get Kassad's thoughts on the format though. Like, how do you think this is going to play out for you guys, especially being there so long? How do you work as a team to be on point?
Being on somewhere where we're like out of home or we don't have a base is just a normal thing for us. Spending a month in a hotel or 3 weeks or something, it's nothing new, so we're used to it. So we don't have issues with that. The format is pretty much perfect in my opinion. I love it, the fact that you have playing one best of 3 and then you have a day off to prepare for the next game. You can just set up, there is no rush for you to like go through the vetoes, prepare your pick, prepare like their possible pick, go through the game plan, just prepare correctly. You don't have to have a full day of practice and just mindlessly play CS. You can just use that day to just prepare for the very next game and just play the next game. On the next day, one best of 3 is just enough, and then you move on to the very next day, and then it's perfect. In the actual format, like three teams going through, it's I don't know. It's not the worst. It's not the best, but let's say I like it. Let's just say that.
I think one of go Prof.
No, I just wanted to say, like, from what you said, then this format could really play into the hands of like more tactical, more preparation style teams versus teams that are kind of more brawly and stuff like that, because you have even maybe sometimes 2 days to prepare for your opponent, and that just plays into teams that can anti-strat, can do all of these things, can find like these small things to exploit in your opposition, right? That could be something to think about.
It's also why Astralis is just bound to top that group. It's just because whenever they failed, it was usually at the blast events and stuff like that, where they literally didn't have time to do that and to prepare for specific opponents every time. So like for them to get that opportunity for this, there's literally no way they don't make it through.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Okay. Do we have anything else we want to jump on here with Pro League, or do we want to move into the Flashpoint discussion?
Not unless you want to put down like
Want to
predictions
do our top
or whatever
threes?
for the top threes. Yeah.
We'll check back in when we come into
Sure.
into the groups. And so, Lucas, can you bring back up that graphic again for us right now? So we're going to lock Astralis definitely for Group A, and I think we were.
Yeah, we can agree on that for sure.
Yeah, the Group B one's a little bit more difficult, right? But let's just have a vote here. Who thinks Na'Vi? Prof?
I'll go Fnatic.
Okay. I know, Kassad, you
Okay.
said Na'Vi, right?
Navi, yeah.
Striker?
I say Navi too.
Yeah, I'm going to go Na'Vi as well. So topping Group B is going to be Na'Vi. So we could get Astralis versus Na'Vi again pretty soon if we're right. Let's do 2 and 3 from Group A. So who do we have? You lead this one, Striker. Who do you reckon the next 2 teams after Astralis in Group A?
I do think it's going to be Vitality, even though like they could. But yeah, it's just up in the air, like what kind of form they're going to turn up in. But I think what Kassad said regarding like fuck, I forgot his name.
Masuta?
Yeah, there you go, Misuta. Depends on how he comes in and like how quickly he acclimates to this, and everything like that. Like Apex, how well he's actually going to be in game leading. But at the same time, like this is a fresh lineup, like new blood, and that also kind of springs up a team. Makes them look a little bit different. They are a little bit more focused. It's just that tends to do pretty well for a team. At least early on, like the honeymoon period and stuff like that. So I feel like they're going to do okay. So I'd say 2 for Vitality. Did you want a third one from me too, or?
Yeah, who you got as your third? It's pretty hard, right?
I'm gonna go with Nib just because they've always been this team who are like pretty good against like the lower end of the scale, and then just having a hard time against the better teams. So I'm gonna go with Nib.
So
Yeah,
Prof.
that's annoyingly correct.
Okay, I was going to ask. You're with him there?
But I have a good feeling about Godsend still. I have to shout out to my boy Sticko. Like the way he was playing in the qualifier was fucking insane. Not insane, like simple insane, but just like the pure aim, like performance, getting the kills that you shouldn't get. It was pretty sick to watch. So I'm still hoping for them to upset. I think we all gave up on Ents though. That is, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah,
Kassad,
you literally can't really predict them to do any well after what we've seen in the past 6 months. So
yeah, so Kassad, there's certain teams who after some long periods of bad performances, I kind of like just like blacklist from talking about on the show. Do you have anything positive to say about Ents?
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of time to fix their shit, right? I mean,
in theory,
what was the last event they played?
they lost the DreamHack Open. They
that was
didn't
the
they?
Anaheim. That's not that long ago, actually.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, when was that? Like 3 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago now. Yeah, okay, or like
Even
a little bit over.
That's if they do stuff.
But they
correctly-
came last, I think.
But they lost to MIBR and then lost to. Let me check.
Genji, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Genji. Yeah, it
And
was
they even had like a massive lead against Genji.
Genji is a pretty decent team. They lost to MIBR. You can never count out MIBR in those kind of matchups, And I don't think they did that bad, even though they went out last. But I think they had enough time without any distractions, without any bullshit, to just see what went wrong, what is wrong, what we need to like improve, what was the things that we're doing good that we can just do them good again, and obviously fix the bad stuff. But I would expect them to be decent. I don't know if they're gonna go through the group in like a second or the third, but I wouldn't just count them out and just like, yeah, then they have no chance. But definitely that will be a contender for the third spot with NIP, I guess. I guess Vitality should be second one, and then the NIP Ents battle should be for the third spot.
All right, so we'll whack in Astralis, Vitality, and then NIP, and we'll see how that one folds on out. And then with Group B, we've definitely said Na'Vi. We said Fnatic second, right? And then it was
I'm
Complexity.
pretty sure that makes the most sense.
It could be a 3-way tie for that third spot. So let's just pick a name here. Does anybody here feel strongly about one of those 3 names that we know of in Group B right now? Obviously, something could get changed.
I support the complexity thing, especially with time off and the anti-shredding they did at Blast and stuff like that. That makes sense. Someone said it in chat. I copied their opinion on this one though.
Okay, well,
anti-shredding.
Well, fuck it. We'll leave it there. We'll go Na'Vi, Fnatic, Complexity, and we'll move on to Flashpoint shit. All right. So Flashpoint, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it, there's an article which HLTV.org just put up. So I'm going to be quoting some shit from that for everybody. if you haven't been keeping up with Flashpoint, they have just announced. Well, is this still allegedly? I don't know if it's alleged. Duncan's retweeted this, and so have the Flashpoint.
I mean,
account.
we can basically expect this to happen. Yeah.
Okay, so the key part here, this is taken from your website. Flashpoint has not yet announced the names of the last 3 teams will be competing in the league. According to recent reports, Chinese organization Fun Plus Phoenix, FPX, they just won the last League of Legends World Finals over G2, have signed the heroic roster and are joining as a partner, while invites have been handed out to Chaos and HUNDEN, both of who were in attendance at the recent global qualifier. So that would bring the teams who qualified up to, so I guess there's 4 teams who came through qualification, I guess, if you look at it that way.
Yeah, Orgla's big in this scenario, Chaos, HAVO, if that's how it pans out.
If it is those teams, that were all the teams who were in the top 4, ladies and gentlemen, the qualifier, so they've kind of just trickled it down in that way. So that would make the 12 teams we have there: Mad Lions, Genji, Big, MIBR, Contact, Cloud9, Orglas, Dignitas, Envy, FPX, Havu, and then Chaos. So that's the 12 teams that they've got there, and they just announced their schedule, which you guys can find if you head over to HLTV.
I haven't seen that yet, but it's pretty much what we've heard before.
It just
there are little Q&As,
just matches.
Yeah, so it doesn't have who's facing who, right? So that's kind of catching us up to speed with this league, and I don't know if you have. Obviously, Kassad, you would have been involved in some conversations and things when all of this was going down between selecting the leagues. Do you have much of an opinion on this whole Flashpoint stuff?
I mean, I understand the thing that they're trying to accomplish here. Right now, the first season, honestly, doesn't look as competitive. You look at the teams, right? The strongest teams, in my opinion, here would be MIBR, obviously, and I guess Genji, right?
No, Mad Lions. Yeah. Well, Mad Lions.
Mad Lions.
Not because of the change.
Yeah, that's a hard one to know, right?
I still think Genji would be the second best team there. I don't know. By the way, they were playing in the lineup they have, I really like it.
Genji lineup.
Yeah, I really do like it, and bringing in B and Ted was the kind of jackpot. This was the right move to do. I was just wondering who is going to grab B and Ted first, because he needs to be out. He needs to be out of Asia. He needs to be out. He needs to go into Europe. He needs to go to America, and then Genji did the right move. And like I said,
wasn't there at one point some talks about Renegades getting him, but way back.
Yeah, the thing was that was in 2017 maybe. Yeah, 17 or 18 April maybe. I don't remember.
It was before Jacob, no?
Yeah, it was 2018. Sorry. Yeah. So the thing what happened was that we were in negotiations with ZywOo to get B and Ted. And he was willing to come to play with us, and then we were willing, obviously, to get him. But I'm not sure, because I really am not sure. If I think that was some sort of negotiations didn't go through because of the too high buyout for B and Ted, and I don't know if Renegades wanted to pay or not, and there was some sort of visa issues with that need to be waited for few months, and we didn't simply have the time to do it. So it kind of fell through. Then we got Jacob, and well, you know the rest. But yeah, B and Ted is supposed to be somewhere else than ZywOo long time ago, and I'm super happy about him. So he can actually be in a good team, and they have a good in-game leader. They have the team is there, thematic. He's experienced such a big player that I respect so much, and obviously Som is a new kind of newcomer in a possible one of the biggest talents there right now. And Kusta is obviously, I don't know how he fits in that whole structure thing, but not really my problem. But I like it. I like their lineup right now, and I think they're the second, maybe even the best team right now there. But in overall,
it's pretty funny, looking back, maybe a couple of weeks ago before they had that at a high victory, saying Genji is the best team out of Flashpoint would have been kind of funny.
Yeah, I think they're really strong. I think they can play some. We screamed them a few times. They showed some decent things. They're not just running around like noobs or something. They were decent team, and they showed it on the DreamHack they won. Yeah. And I think they're pretty decent. Obviously, Dignitas with this lineup, I don't know, because Halzerk, I watched that guy in the qualifier, and
he's a monster.
absolutely amazing. He's sick. The moves that he's making, the decision that he's making, he's really good. Now that he's not be able to play, he's gonna be able to play. I don't know how Guardian fits in that role. I don't know the mindset of Guardian right now, because like, you know, he needs to go for 5-6 weeks. I know he's married, and I know he's like dropped out of kind of competitive CS for some time. So I don't know about his motivation, mindset, and everything, and how he's gonna fit into that. Obviously, he's off for an op, but I don't know how is that gonna look like.
Yeah.
Other than that, the league itself, the first season, I'm not saying they probably have like what 3 years or something planned, or 5. I don't even know.
I don't think we know even. I'm not even sure we know.
5, whatever it is. The first season doesn't look at as competitive right now as if you compare it to ESL, obviously. But I don't think that they're gonna do that bad. I think people are just like, I don't know. I feel that they're gonna be decent. It's not gonna be the worst.
There's some decent fan bases, right? Like, there's obviously going to be a lot of fans of the old NIP guys under the Dignitas banner, and the Brazilians always going to bring a lot with MIBR. You've got all of Germany with Big there. Mad Lions probably get themselves a little bit of a cult following. I don't know about after this HUNDEN move, but you know. So in terms of the league itself,
as well, you know, Cloud9, I mean,
big names.
They're gonna have some viewership, I guess. You know,
just time zone might suck a little bit for them being in LA.
Exactly.
Well, we see the schedule is pretty good for Europe, so it doesn't really. I don't see that as a big problem.
I
We
guess
have games like 6
early.
and 9, which is honestly very good.
Yeah. It's a curious one, right? Because so I think what was kind of being from the camp, from the spokespeople, obviously Duncan doing the creative director stuff, like stuff that they've been saying like about this, you know, that they can just buy these better teams. Like FPX is probably the talking point here, the main talking point of this whole situation, that they've been able to come on in, just grab a roster, right? Because they weren't in Counter-Strike at all until this moment. Come on in, grab a roster, and then just get themselves in this league, they're going to have a competitive team, right? I'm curious how many other orgs that aren't in Counter-Strike at the moment would have that kind of money to make those moves. And it's an interesting one to make that choice, right? Because you have to look at it from the business side of things. It's one of two things. FPX have either come in and gone, we want to be part of FLASHPOINT, which I would assume is the most likely one, and then we have to get a team. Or they've come on in and decided we want to be part of Counter-Strike and then made a conscious decision to be part of FLASHPOINT, right? Because if they just picked up Heroic, like I know what you said before, Striker, about Pro League, and I'm not certain on this stuff here. I'm talking out of my arse here for a second. But you said that Pro League is the teams, right?
What?
You said that Pro League...
No, it's the orgs.
I was thinking about that, what you said. That might have been the case in the past when all of the teams had slots, like as all of the orgs had slots.
Yeah, right.
But now we only have the member teams in ESL Pro League. And the
I
other
don't think Heroic was
teams.
one of them, were they?
They are one of the like non-partner team, non-member teams. So maybe it isn't down to Heroic. Maybe it was the players that had the slot. So I'm really not sure how that works.
Yeah, it's hard to say without like having I don't think it was even mentioned. Like any of this was ever mentioned. So it's hard to say without knowing the rules on this and how that's changed.
I mean, we know how they worked before the rules.
Yeah.
Like if this was season 8, definitely Heroic had the spot if they could field the appropriate roster of like similar level, which is just a made up term that ESL can decide whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
But still, it makes kind of sense. You can't really put me and Striker in a team and put us in Pro League, unfortunately. Would be fun.
Look, maybe... Okay, never mind.
This is where Striker says he once competed.
No. I was going to say... No, what I was going to say is maybe if you put us in FLASHPOINT.
Maybe. But yeah, that is it. What were we talking about again? Yeah, I think what Striker said when we were talking earlier, it's before the stream. It's kind of interesting that how many big orgs we have in CS nowadays, with like Fun plus Phoenix coming in, like 100 Thieves, Mad Lions with all of their stuff. Like almost every big org is in CS right now, even though it was like CS is dying. So that's kind of fun as well.
Honestly, like with FPX coming into CSGO, like we're also like entering this area where more of these Asian organizations could come in and just like grab actually European rosters or North American ones, like SK, well, T1 they're called now. and who, by the way, got Brax just like, I don't know, yesterday or something.
Yeah.
Those guys could easily come into CSGO as well, because they probably have a lot of money from like their league venture and stuff like that. So like that opens up a whole new world to CSGO as well, even though they've obviously already been like in it with like organizations like, I don't know, eHome and those kind of guys who have like Chinese rosters at this point. But maybe they decide, okay, Chinese CS is just not it, and we want to get an actually good team. So could be more like that coming into.
Save some visa issues, especially with most of the competition going down in the States and stuff as well. But I think that unfortunately, I think we're going to continue to see a growth of players like playing Counter-Strike all at once, and unfortunately, I think like from what the rumors on the street were, this year was looking like it was going to be pretty good for Asian Counter-Strike, especially stuff going on in China now because of the coronavirus situation. Everywhere's getting shut down, and definitely China would be on that list of places that are going to be affected quite heavily because of this. So it kind of sucks from that perspective. But so, do we have, with this Flashpoint news, do we have anything else that sticks out here from what was just announced? Did you guys take a look at the schedule or anything?
Well, the schedule is just literally like for the first
Two best
couple
of
of
threes
weeks,
a
it's
day.
just 2 best of threes a day. But one day is like 3, or 2 days is like 3 best of threes. But still, the schedule is actually very good. They've definitely made an effort to make it very watchable for European fans. Honestly, this looks like a European competition. It's literally the same times that we had for like Blast. I think it's actually the exact same times, or like very close to the same times we had for Blast Premier, which was in the UK. So it's like, it's honestly pretty great that they've made it. It makes sense from a business perspective. Obviously, they want the European fans to get in on the action. So props to them.
So I think that's a good point to note. They can do like regular business hours as well, right? Because obviously that's going to be earlier in the day for them. They don't have to worry about, like, for the people there on site, they play during the day, all those little bits and pieces out of the way. Prof, you got anything else on Flashpoint? Let's pick a winner, maybe.
Envy just got flown out to LA in a private jet. Thoughts?
Really?
They have a lot of money. You see that building that Kassad's sitting in right now?
Yeah.
That building's worth a shitload of money. The co-owner of 100 Thieves is the owner of the Cash App, who also is some massive dude over at Twitter. So money grows on trees, apparently, in esports. That guy's like real rich, like fucking proper rich, right? I don't even know the guy's name. But he's got a lot of money. All right, let's go to playtime, Lucas. Let's play this. All right, so we might be talking about fried chicken in a second. So basically, we've gotten to the end of the show. Kassad has to go to practice very shortly, so we're going to kind of wrap this up probably a little bit earlier than normal, but we're going to go with some questions that may have come in. We did some stuff on Instagram.
I have a good one from Instagram for Kassad. It says, what is it like being Slovakian and being with Australian guys? That was one of the questions.
It's pretty good, you know.
Close enough.
Close enough. Same flag.
Pretty. Whoever asked that, like, maybe you go back to school a little bit more and then come back.
Okay. Well, it was close.
I had this discussion with an Australian guy once who claimed that the Croatian and Serbian flag are like almost the same, or the same flags, and then he was also upset that I couldn't differentiate the New Zealand and the Australian flag, which are literally the same, with like one star that is red instead of being white.
I think the outline of the stars,
which is the dumbest thing ever.
I think it's the outline of the stars are a different color, but that's not a point. That's not the
point.
The
outline as well.
Where in Australia, they don't really teach us about the rest of the world. We kind of just worry about our little island, Southeast Asia, because we always go to Bali, and occasionally we give a fuck about what's going on in America, and everything we learn about Europe is about World War II, and that's about it. So, you know, we don't really get too much.
Good question. It's not exactly the question, but the question was about Nexa and like other people from the regional scene. I guess Nexa doing well as an in-game leader and someone that you had as a player for a short period of time in Renegades. So talking about his progression and his work here in G2, like, are you surprised that he is really embracing the in-game leader role?
I'm not surprised that he is doing so well. He has always been massively talented person. Back in the 2017, when I just joined Renegades, at one point they asked me like, what were the two players that you would like, recommend? And I said immediately Nexa and Hunter, right? So we wanted to like kind of get them both at some point, but it was not possible. And then we just brought Nexa, as you remember, in 2017, and he was there for 3 months. But our whole team was like in a big state of like mess at that point. Like there was a lot of things going on, and Nexa wasn't like, didn't really fit in very well. And then I think I blame myself a little bit more for not helping him a little bit more. I think I could have done more for him in those 3 months than I did. And then at the end we just parted ways, and he understood completely what was going on and he was agreeing it. But
I think it was a little bit fucked that he was the in-game leader like at the time.
Yeah,
like that really wasn't a great call.
But he's definitely capable of doing it. I mean, you can see he can call, he can kill people. He's a very stable, consistent player, He is delivering, and I'm so happy to see it. Especially after we kind of parted ways in Renegades, he bounced back in that team with Esperanto and then
Imperial, yeah.
And they switched to Crazy, and they had a massive success. And he kind of earned it. He earned his spot in G2, and he's doing a really good job. Him and Hunter too.
All right, so let's do like a couple of hot take things. Let's get your opinion on.
I have a question. I have a good question before you do that. So a question is about players becoming in-game leaders, because this is something that you tried to do with Nexa, but at the time, obviously, you said how it worked out. But Asa is a player that was never considered an in-game leader, and then with, at least from the outsider perspective, we say with Kassad's help, he became like a good in-game leader. And that's not like the only, I think that is kind of a pattern that is following, like maybe Glaive was a decent in-game leader, but at the same time not at the level he was when he came into Astralis and worked with Zonic. And there's a couple of these examples of like a good coach working with a player that becomes an in-game leader. So how do you see that development, and can that happen with like almost any player? He has the right like support and stuff like that.
I think the hybrid IGLs are becoming a thing. They have been in the past year too. You can see Nitro, he was on an IGL, right? And Glaive, I mean, he was a kind of semi-IGL in Heroic when Snappy was there, right? Am I correct?
Well, Snappy was the main in-game leader.
Yeah. He was like and then he transitioned. Glaive transitioned into with the help of Zonic, obviously, and the right moves they made. He transitioned to the best IGL of all times, together with Fallen. Like I said, hybrid in-game leaders, that can work if you have like a proper player with a proper coach. They need to be on the same page all the time. The player needs to understand the game to some degree, and then the coach needs to help him develop that the knowledge that he has and the skill that he has to become an IGL. I think it's not a bad thing. It's a trend now, and it has been in 2019. So it's a pretty good thing. You can see Nexa as well. Nexa, Nitro. You have Aaron in our team, Ezer. I mean,
there's one more obvious one that you're missing, which is NiKo and YNK. So what do you think about that combination?
Yeah, I mean, NiKo is back in I was in Mousesports in 2016. I mean, you need to understand, when you have NiKo in your team, that's something special. When you see him talk about the game, when you see him play the game, that's something absolutely, you cannot understand that until you are actually in a team with him, And him becoming an IGL, I still believe that maybe he's a little bit better as a actual player that can roam around, do his thing, and he can do more things than being an IGL. But he is doing a good job. I remember back in Mousesports when he was IGL too, he was doing a pretty good job together with me. Like, we were working together to some point, and it was a short time, it was like 3-4 months. But I liked it back then, and I like it now. So it's like 4 years ago. So I think it could have worked then. It's working now. So I think that's a thing now.
Do you think that there's a disconnect between like a top player like NiKo being the in-game leader and trying to like explain his ideas to someone that is not on the same level? Like, is there kind of a different way of thinking that just like a good player cannot really maybe understand, can't be on the same page with a guy like NiKo when he's leading?
Like I said, it's a matter of delivering. You know, how do you deliver that information? It's like I said, I think most of the players can learn on these high level tier teams. They can learn if you deliver it properly. Like I said, some people will need to be, you know, easy. You need to show them videos. You need to show them like graphics. You need to show them all that kind of shit so they can learn. Somebody needs to be just explained. Somebody needs to be write down on a piece of paper. Somebody needs to be yelled at, you know, so he can understand the authority. He can understand, like, you know, the discipline, all of those things. You just need to understand who is like what type of player and what works on which player, you know, because you cannot go and yell at some player that he's just going to tell you like, what the fuck is he doing, you know? Like,
somewhere Devil Walk is smiling.
You know, and it's just a matter of delivering the information and delivering the knowledge or whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you know. I think most of the players can learn the thing because it's not like a super complicated thing playing CS, you know.
It's pretty hard. I wasn't very good at it, so it's got to be kind of difficult. Kassad, we're going to throw some quick fire questions out here before we wrap this one up. I just want to get your general take. It can be just short answers. You can go long. You do whatever you want here on some big ticket items that we've been discussing over this year. So, Prof or Strike, if anything comes to your mind after I'm throwing these things out there, throw one in. All right, the economy, yes or no?
It's not the best yet. I think it can be a little bit adjusted with some starting money bonus, like in those first rounds, like 1.9k. I think that can be some work that can be done there, but other than that, it's fine. I don't mind it. It allows
the
a lot of... Okay, so at the beginning, I like the whole idea. Obviously, you're changing the meta. Something else is happening. There's not like fucking stupid AKs just everywhere and just all the same shit. I like the idea of Krieg, but I think it's time to move on.
Okay.
What
It's a subtle way of saying fuck off.
No, it's time to move on. I liked it. There was their time. There was a time with an AUG. There is a time with a Krieg. You know.
I agree.
It's probably
I like what it did to CS at the time, but obviously, like that has to be adjusted.
It's probably due
like
soon, right?
Something different, and I'm 100% sure something different will come up soonish. You know, not 5 minutes.
What was the time frame, Striker? After they adjusted the price last on the org, and then they adjusted, there was like a 3-month period.
Yeah, something like that.
So we're
definitely past it. We're definitely past it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so you'd hope something happens soon, especially with the major obviously starting to kick on through. All right, the schedule, Kassad.
Schedule off.
Anything, the year, the calendar, the travel this year, is it better or worse?
Better.
What are you feeling? Better?
Definitely better. I mean, the scheduling is right now. The problem is this FLASHPOINT Pro League type of thing that can like overlap in some situations. I was looking at the schedule for whole year, and there is some sort of October kind of problems.
It's very messy there at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that needs to be cleaned up. So far, I actually like it because you can see, like, for example, for us that are playing Group C and D, and even the Group A and B, it's fine. So you finished one of the biggest events of the year, which is Kato, right? And then you have 2 weeks off, 2 weeks to reset, 2 weeks to fix your shit, 2 weeks to like improve and keep doing the good things, and just go into the next event. There is no excuses. Oh, I had to, just there was no time to prepare. We had to do this and this and that. It has 2 weeks. You can do your thing and you can go into the next event. For us that are playing Group C and D, it's even better, right? And then after that happens, there is a period of a month or something for the major.
Yeah, there's obviously the minors are going on and stuff for some of the teams, but
some of the teams, but not all of them, because that's those teams. Some of those teams, most of those teams on the minors, they didn't play Kato, right? They didn't play League, so they have no scheduling conflicts. But for the rest of the teams that are like already in the Challenger and the Legends stage, so we have just enough time after the Pro League ends, which is like April 11th, to sit down for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and get our things done, and show up on a major without any excuses of like, oh, we had no time to practice and we had to fly, we didn't have to do this and that. So there is perfect amount of time to go there and be ready for it. And when you fail, you cannot say anything because you just play bad or somebody played better or whatever. But if you win, you know why you win because you know why you won because you prepared and you had time to do it. I don't know about that after what happens, but like I said, from the whole schedule for the whole year, there is a mess in October-ish type of period. I think that needs to be fixed. So for 2020, I think it's pretty good.
All right. Booths.
Suck.
Suck?
Okay, interesting.
Booths suck.
Okay, why? Elaborate for us.
Because we love the momentum, we love the crowd, we love the yells. You know, it's just such a good feeling when you're sitting there and you hear a frag, and you see a frag and the crowd explodes. You see a clutch or something, the crowd explodes. It gives you it gives you like memories. You know, I don't know. It's so good. But in the booth in Starlighter Berlin, we had booths obviously, and the arena was packed. It was full in the quarterfinals, the semifinals. It was full. We couldn't hear anything. It was still good, but not as in Kato the same year when you like walk out down, you sit down in the open area, and you can just see them. You can see the opposite team like right across you, and then you can see the crowd just exploding after every frag, cheering. You know, it's just a special feeling. I would always pick no boot over boot.
You can also enjoy it more than any of the players just because you don't have a monitor in front of you. You actually stand up and see the crowd all the time.
Some
helps.
Suck.
What sucks?
Okay.
Boots. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So I'm gonna Prof Striker. Do you guys have anything here? I'm gonna give him one more, and then we're gonna wrap her up.
Can't think of anything.
All right. Valve. How do you think Valve are doing with our game, Kassad?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're doing all right. Not the best, but not the worst. You know, I think they can be more involved in some things, but I think they're trying. They're not like, who gives a fuck about this game, you know? But it can be better. Let's just say that.
Go play that most recent co-op mission. I actually had fun. I actually had fun playing it. You wouldn't believe it. It was a co-op mission in Counter-Strike.
I think they're all right. I don't think it's the worst. It can always be better, but it's not the worst.
Okay, so basically my life. All right, Kassad, the floor is yours. Is there anything you want to say? Any sponsor shout out you want to have? Anything to anybody in the community? You want to isolate someone? You want to call someone a bad name? This is your time.
No, I mean, I just obviously I want to thank 100 Thieves for providing all this for us. I mean, I can explain right now the whole vibe around this org. You know, when you walk into this office, compound, sorry, nobody's gonna get mad right there.
You mean the 100 Thieves Cash App compound? Please use the full name.
Cash App. Sorry. So when you walk in there during the work days, you know, you can see all the people happy.
Wow.
It's on top of that, they have the best people hired in every area of whatever they're doing, you know, just elite people, and that's something that's mind blowing. As far as there is no pressure, they're not result based, you know, type of work. There's no passive aggressive. There's nothing about that. It's always supportive from day one. When we entered, they was always supportive of us. So I just want to say thanks to them once again, and it has been amazing so far, you know.
All right, well, cool. Thank you,
Chad.
very much.
I think you should go and get a job at 100 Thieves. Since everyone's happy there, maybe you can finally find your happiness.
Look, I'm trying. You know, I don't know if I'm doing enough shilling, live on air in front of 100,000 people. But remember, it's 100 Thieves, not 100 Thieves. It's grammatically incorrect, but that's what they want to be called. And they've got really cool clothing, which is known as apparel, not merchandise. So fucking check that shit out. And if you head over... Yeah. Look, all I'm saying is go to anchor.fm/HLTV to have all the audio podcasts that we've been doing. The Twitter is twitter.com/HLTV Confirmed. What else we got going on there? The next show, we haven't planned a date yet because I'll be at Pro League. We need to kind of work out a day that we'll be doing bits and pieces.
Basically, we're hoping to make one between the groups.
Yes, we'll see if we can make that happen. It means maybe I'll just have to
there is
start
no
later
between
one
the groups. There are no break days.
Well, yeah, but I was just at some point...
Yeah, but
less pack days.
We'll work it out. We'll probably be while some matches are on, but you guys can tune on in and have us in the background. Obviously, Fantasy will be up for all these things. If you want to buy the HLTV.org shirt, you can go down the bottom of the HLTV.org website and there's the shirt right there. Martin will be happy with that. Anyway, this has been a long goodbye. And yeah, I don't have anything positive to say today. So just everybody try and practice to do a handstand. That's what I did. Goodbye.